Well, thank you so much, Stefan, and many thanks to you for your patience. I know it has been long. I had the opportunity to brief the Council, both in the plenary session, but also during the closed consultations. And basically, the points I made are as follows. First, I highlighted the progress made in the three strategic priorities of the mission. The transition, a number of steps have been taken towards the holding of elections and the return to constitutional rule by March 2024. On the peace agreement, I did highlight the resumption of the work of the agreement's monitoring mechanism, which is a positive step. They had not met since last October. I also highlighted the agreement reached by the parties on the quota for reintegration into the Malian defense and security forces and other state structures. I did also highlight the steps taken to advance the institutional reforms that are needed for the diligent implementation of the agreement. And some steps have been taken, and I'm sure, as you're aware, a new draft constitution has been developed, and some of the provisions would make it easier to move forward the implementation of some aspects of the peace agreement. I did also refer to the situation in the center. The Security Council has for very long requested the Malian authorities to develop a political strategy for the stabilization of the region. That has now been done with the support of MINUSMA, and we're trying now to align our activities to the priorities identified by the Malian authorities. And in all these three political tracks, I did highlight the key role of MINUSMA. We're actively engaged, providing good offices, providing technical, logistical, and financial support to help move these processes. Obviously, there is still a lot of work ahead of us, but it was important to signal that progress is being made and that support is expressed for the progress that is being made, and that the Malian authorities and other stakeholders are encouraged to stay the course. I did also speak about the security situation, which unfortunately is of particular concern. That is the case in the Menaka region, in Gao, but also in the center, in spite of the efforts being made. Highlighted the related efforts of MINUSMA in spite of our limited capabilities, and the deteriorating security situation affect the humanitarian situation. The number of IDPs has increased, now over 400,000. The number of schools closed, close to 2,000. The number of children out of school, 600,000. And the humanitarian response, unfortunately, is far from being adequate. I did also touch on some of the challenges confronting us, while acknowledging that we have addressed the issue of rotations, which now has been resolved. We still face some restrictions which need to be addressed as soon as possible. I did also, of course, raise the issue of human rights. We're planning to publish our next quarterly report in the next 2 weeks, but the report covering the previous period did not decrease in the number of violations, and that the extremist group were responsible for a big share of the violations that were noted on the ground, even though some of the military operations conducted by the Malian authorities were also marred by human rights violations. I'm encouraged by the support that was expressed by the members of the Council. In that context, we did also exchange on the ongoing review, internal review of MINUSMA, which is expected to provide recommendations on how best we can adjust to the new environment we're finding ourselves in, but also expected to assess the level of cooperation between the mission and the Malian authorities, and of course, our ability to operate, our ability to be effective in support of the Malian people is heavily contingent on the extent of cooperation we're receiving from them. So in a nutshell, these were the points I made during the briefing with the members of the Council.
Thank you. Edie and then Celia.
Thank you very much. Edith Lederer from the Associated Press. I have two questions. First, how concerned are you at the restrictions being imposed on MINUSMA by the government and the possible interference by the Wagner Group? And secondly, you listened at the end to this contentious exchange between the Malian foreign minister and the French ambassador. How does that particular issue play into what you are trying to achieve in Mali?
Thank you. Actually, no, thank you so much. First, on the restrictions, as you may have probably seen, the report of the Secretary General does provide an update on the number of restrictions we experienced in the past during the period under review, the last 3 months. And obviously, again, our ability to be effective depends on the operational environment, on the environment in which we are operating. So every restriction is a matter of concern, and we do engage the Malian authorities in a very sustained fashion on all those issues. We have set up a technical working group, or a working group operating both at technical level but also at ministerial level to look at all aspects of the relationship between Mali and MINUSMA. And we do intend to use that framework to bring to the fore our concerns as far as the issue of restrictions is concerned, and to engage constructively with the Malian authorities with a view to finding solutions. But one additional point I would like to make is that the restrictions are real, the operating environment is difficult, but that said, in spite of all those challenges, the mission is still doing a very valuable work in support of the Malian people and Malian stakeholders. Obviously, we could do more in a more permissive environment, but in spite of the challenges we're facing, and they are real, including in terms of restriction, the mission is doing a valuable work. As far as the rest of your question is concerned, let me just say that we are at a very difficult moment in the situation in Mali. I did refer to the challenging security situation, humanitarian situation, human rights situation, and so on. And this is a time when we need increased support, increased unity among members of the international community, and whatever can contribute to build consensus around Mali would be extremely helpful for the implementation of the mandate and extremely helpful for the Malian people.
Celia Lavaren, Africa Confidential. I'm going to ask my question in French, if you don't mind.
Encore mieux.
J'aimerais savoir quelles sont vos relations, si vous en avez, avec la junte, le gouvernement malien, et quand vous devez effectuer votre travail de mission, est-ce que vous devez parfois dealer avec Wagner ou le groupe Wagner?
Nous avons des relations étroites avec le gouvernement malien et nous accédons aux autorités à chaque fois que nécessaire. Et cela fait partie du travail normal d'une mission de maintien de la paix qui, comme vous le savez, est déployée avec le consentement du pays hôte. Et sans ces relations avec le gouvernement, il serait extrêmement difficile de travailler. Il y a des difficultés, elles sont réelles. Elles ont été évoquées dans le rapport du secrétaire général, j'en ai parlé moi-même. Mais je crois que l'important est que nous avons des mécanismes qui nous permettent d'évoquer ces difficultés et de travailler à la recherche de solutions. Ce n'est pas toujours facile, mais je ne vois pas d'alternative à un dialogue continu, soutenu avec les autorités maliennes. Et grâce à ce dialogue, grâce à cette approche, nous avons été en mesure de surmonter certaines des difficultés auxquelles nous avons été confrontés et nous allons persévérer dans la même voie. Pour le reste, je dirais que le mandat de la MINUSMA comporte deux implications fortes. Un, la possibilité pour la mission de se mouvoir librement pour mener à bien son mandat. Deux, l'obligation que nous incombe d'enquêter sur les violations des droits de l'homme et d'en rendre compte. Et c'est à la lumière de ces deux impératifs que nous apprécions les questions liées à la présence d'autres forces au Mali.
Est-ce que vous devez négocier parfois avec Wagner? C'est ça qui m'intéresse. Vous n'avez pas répondu à ma question.
J'ai répondu à votre question. Nous travaillons avec le gouvernement malien, comme je l'ai dit. Nous travaillons avec le gouvernement malien. Et quand nous avons des difficultés avec le gouvernement malien, nous portons ces difficultés à l'attention du gouvernement malien pour rechercher des solutions.
Thank you. Dulcie, and then we'll go.
Yeah, I'm wondering how the grounding of the Russian aviation fleet is affecting MINUSMA's daily operations.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Indeed, as you know, it's a decision that affects all peacekeeping missions, and MINUSMA in particular. I think we have 8 registered aircraft that have been grounded. We're trying to adjust to cope with the situation, and some interim measures have been found with our headquarters here in New York to allow us to use some of these aircraft for in extremis situations, in case of CASEVAC or for the supply, the provision of rations to our troops. But it's a challenge, but we have managed to cope, and our headquarters here is working on a lasting solution to that challenge.
Thank you very much. Merci.
C'est bon? Merci. I don't know if you used them yesterday. I don't know which aircraft you used, but just in a very limited fashion.
Yeah,
of
so
course.
there are only 8
No,
planes or
the-
helicopters?
no, 6 helicopters and 2 planes.